Does Nick Suzuki make the Montreal Canadiens next season? The 2017 first-round draft pick by the Vegas Golden Knights was acquired by Montreal a year ago pretty much, in the Max Pacioretty trade, which saw Tatar, Suzuki, and a pick head over to Montreal in exchange for then-captain Max Pacioretty. Suzuki now, 1 year later, is 20, is primarily seen as a right-wing player, and is coming off of a pretty good OHL season where he finished 11th in points with 94 points in 59 games played, spread across 2 teams. Suzuki was initially drafted all the way back in 2017, 13th overall. He was the second Golden Knights draft pick ever, behind Cody Glass and just in front of Erik Brannstrom. And back then, he was seen as a crazy dynamic offensive dynamo center who was coming off of a really good year with the Owen Sound attack. Back in his draft year, he had 96 points in 65 games played. He was playing with Petros Palmu on one wing, he was playing with Jonah Gadjevich on the other wing, and it was a really good system that they had in Owen Sound. Come the next year, Suzuki got 100 points with Owen Sound in 64 games played. No more Palmu, but Gadjevich was still there, so it was interesting to watch that. But most recently, after coming over into the Montreal Canadiens organization, Suzuki played with Owen Sound, only had 45 points in 30 games played for a low 1.5 points per game. Now that's not low per se, but for Nick Suzuki, who was putting up 100 points in 60-ish games, that was quite low. He then got traded to the Guelph Storm, had 49 points in 29 games, with them a 1.69 points per game, which was crazy good, and was a total beast in the playoffs. 42 points in 24 playoff games, as the Guelph Storm eventually won the OHL championship against the Ottawa 67s. The Guelph Storm then lost in the Memorial Cup, but Nick Suzuki had 7 points in 4 games played, which was a pretty impressive showing for the small sample size. Now, going into the offseason and coming into next season, Montreal Canadiens fans are stoked for Suzuki. Because one of the bigger gripes on Suzuki throughout the past few years has always been his skating. Could he get that stride up to an NHL level amount of quickness? And could he be agile enough to compete in the NHL and provide the same offensive presence as he did in the OHL? But recently, Suzuki has actually been heavily improving his stride. Watching some of the Memorial Cup highlights, some of the really nifty goals he would score in the playoffs, and overall his drills, you can see that he's got a pretty good step that didn't really seem to be there in the past. Suzuki's gotten quicker, he's gotten faster, and overall the improvements have just been that sugar song to bitter step within his game. The improvements are there, combined with the really skilled playmaking ability and the overall hands that he possesses. Suzuki is legitimately one of the top Montreal Canadiens prospects in their system. So it's for good reason that Habs fans are really excited to seeing the potential that he could be in the NHL next year. Does he challenge for a spot as a center? Most likely not, because Suzuki recently has been playing a lot on the right wing, which is a very interesting combination to have, but it is a better suited game for him in my opinion. He is 5'11", 183 pounds, so he's not big, but he is a guy who is shifty, plays a really good game at stripping guys away from the puck and deking through guys. That's a perfect skill set to have if you're a dynamic offensive winger, and Suzuki definitely fulfills that role. At least he did on the Guelph Storm. So going forward in the next season, I wouldn't be surprised to see Nick Suzuki get top 6, top 9 minutes as a right wing, playing alongside of, Deneau or maybe Paling. That would be a really interesting combination. Imagine a guy like Suzuki setting up a guy like Paling who's got that pretty good shot. Paling, screw getting 3 goals a game, he's going to get 4. So overall, Suzuki has all the potential in the world to become a quote-unquote elite player in the NHL. And it's all stemmed off of his really good hockey IQ, instincts, hands, and nowadays, his pretty quick step. It's definitely improved, and as a 20-year-old, I can definitely see this guy putting upwards of 30 to 35 points in the NHL next year. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if he got more than that, but as a conservative estimate, I'm gonna say he rounds off at around there. But the sky is the limit for Nick Suzuki because he truly is a player who in his prime could be getting upwards of 40, 50 assists in a year and 75 points. He's got a really good ceiling, and as a guy that the Canadiens got in the Pacioretty trade, it's certainly looking like a great acquisition right now. Nick Suzuki, does he make the team next year? I think he does, but it wouldn't surprise me if he needed Laval time. But personally, I want to give the kid all the chances he could have to succeed, and playing him alongside of a guy like Deneau or Paling or heck, maybe even Domi would really set up the Canadiens' long-term future for this player in a right direction. Hope you enjoyed this quick little video, Social After 9, and bye.